So the Trinity. It's very normal for us to try to imagine how that Trinity works. Father, Son, and Spirit, all one. And it is very normal for us to try to come up with images that we can better understand the Trinity. John Anderson, our master decorator, did you notice the candles? 3 in 1. St. Patrick used the shamrock. I'm sure you've all heard that. The 3 leaves on the shamrock, 3 Father, Son, and Spirit, 3 persons in 1. I always like these fire tapers. You've seen this before. Here I have 3 tapers, 3 persons, Father, Son, and Spirit. And yet if I hold them together, they burn with one flame. That's another a symbol of the Trinity. And even ourselves. Do you know that we're 3 in 1? Maybe more. Some of you are one brother or sister. Or maybe you're a husband and wife. Or maybe you're a worker and a neighbor. Mother, father. We're a lot of people in one. So that's kind of another way of understanding the Trinity. And as I said already, now let's move beyond. The Trinity isn't an it. The Trinity is a who. The 3 persons of the Trinity are, human language doesn't even help. They're so in love with each other that they can't help but give that love away to us. First letter of John, chapter 4, God is love. You've heard it. That's the Trinity. That's what we try to experience. And now and to maybe better understand it, I wrote in my bulletin article, we have attributed certain jobs to each of the 3 persons of the Trinity. The Father is traditionally looked upon as creator. Have you ever participated in creation? You parents, when you brought forth a child, you were creating. When you helped somebody else out, when you brought about some new life, maybe even in forgiveness, you were like the Father, creating. The Son, Jesus, we look upon as our Redeemer. Have you ever redeemed yourself or others? Have you ever reached out to be of greater service? You are being part of the Son, Jesus, redeeming. Have you ever felt that God was helping you to be more holy? Not only spiritually, but in yourself, a whole person. That's attributed to the Spirit as sanctifier. Jesus says in the gospel now that he's at the Last Supper. Did you hear that? He said, I got many things to tell you, but you cannot bear it now. You're not ready. Just like children, our children, we don't give them everything because they're not ready for it yet. Whether or not it's material things or just explanations, you have to be able to receive it. And so Jesus is indicating that we as disciples, we're challenged to grow in the Lord. That we're challenged that we can always become better disciples of Jesus. I don't have any other words to say, to grow in the Lord. Hopefully, look back in your life 10, 20 years. I hope that you're different today. And you can say, yeah, I kind of grew. I'm a different person now than I was 5, 10 years ago. Well, what about the next 5 or 10 years? What's ahead? We don't know, but open ourselves up to grow in the Lord. Now, what sparks our growth? That's the key. The second reading today, Paul says, we're justified by faith. Nothing starts with us, even though we all think it starts with me. It starts with God. And we're challenged to accept the growth ahead of us. But as I said already, what challenges us to grow? Usually, it's our sufferings. When things are going well, most of us don't really improve. But St. Paul tells us that in our sufferings, we are brought closer to God. Because he said, sufferings bring endurance. Endurance brings character. Character brings hope. And hope reveals to us God's love in the Spirit. Now, our approach to God is usually like our approach to other people. Part of us are ifers, and part of us are untillers. Think about it. How do you approach other people? Isn't sometimes we'll say in our hearts, I will be your friend if you're honest with me, if you don't do anything to hurt me, if you do what I want you to do. Isn't that our approach to God too? I'll follow you, God, if this, that, or other. Or once we have a relationship with somebody, then we turn into untillers. I will love you until you lie to me, or you betray me, or you're nasty to me, or you hurt me. And again, isn't that our response to God? I will love you, I'll follow you until something goes wrong. But to be able to see in faith that it is in those sufferings that we're brought closer to God. Story is told about a mother and her little boy were standing at a curb wanting to cross a busy street. And the little boy wouldn't go. He was afraid. He said, Mommy, I want you to hold my hand. Well, she already had a purse, bags of groceries, an umbrella. So she says to her little boy, I'll stretch out my hand and you grab onto my little finger. The boy wouldn't go. But she said, why? The little boy said, I don't want to hold your hand. I want you to hold my hand. And that's what the Trinity is. God reaching out to us, wanting to hold our hand to cross the street of life.